Here we have the next entry into Asus's flagship Ultra series, the Zenfone 12 Ultra. So what's new this year, and is the Zenfone 12 Ultra worth upgrading to? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our full review. The Zenfone 12 Ultra is Asus's top flagship outside of their ROG Phone gaming line. It doesn't bring a ton of changes over last year's model though. The overall design has gotten a refresh. You still get the rectangular camera island tucked away in the top corner of the device, but it's smaller this year and is color coordinated. We kinda preferred it in black when the lenses didn't stand out as punch holes. The frame is made of 100% recycled aluminum, and the phone feels solid in hand. Like last year, the Zenfone 12 Ultra has IP68 ingress protection against dust and water submersion. And the display here is a 6.78-inch LTPO OLED with a 1080p resolution, a 144Hz refresh rate, and Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection. These are some nice specs, but they're basically the same as last year. However, the screen gets even brighter this time around. We measured 920 nits maximum with the manual slider, and this could boost to over 1960 nits in auto mode when needed. The display looks as good as ever too. It's large, sharp, and contrasty, and on this panel you have support for HDR10+ video content as well. The 144Hz refresh rate here is higher than what you see on most phones, but it will only kick in for gaming when you'll enable it for specific titles in the Game Genie app. In general, for smoothing out your swiping and scrolling, you'll max out at 120Hz, and thanks to LTPO tech, it can dial down as low as 1Hz when idling to save energy. Asus still provides a 3.5mm jack for headphones. That's rare to find these days on a flagship. There's also a pair of stereo speakers with good loudness. The sound quality is like last year's, with well-developed mids, clear highs, and some bass. You can wake up and unlock the phone with an under-display optical fingerprint reader. It's accurate and responsive. And the Zenfone 12 Ultra can come with 256 or 512 gigs of storage on board. That isn't expandable with the microSD card. The interface of the phone is Android 15 with Asus's custom software running on top. It's overall quite a clean and bloat-free experience. You can find all of the Asus tweaks to the user interface in a dedicated menu in Settings. One feature carried over from the ROG Phone family is the Game Genie overlay. Besides using it to up the refresh rate like we already saw, it also gives you access to performance readouts and various game-related options and toggles. Video Genie is another unique software feature that allows you to control things like interruptions when you're watching something and also play any video in the background. There's a pretty large suite of AI-based features here as well. Of course, Google's Circle to Search is a built-in feature here. AI semantic search is back. It allows you to search for any option in settings using everyday language. It doesn't work well enough to consider it a highlight feature. If you don't say things exactly as they might appear in the settings menu, it can come back with no result. At least it now works with better success when searching among photos in the gallery. You can use AI to generate personalized wallpapers. And there's real-time call translation as well for supported languages. Asus has added new languages with this release, and it all works on device. Asus has also added a new AI web article summary feature. It summarizes web articles online. You also get the same thing, but for documents. The new AI document summary allows you to summarize the text from PDF and Word documents you've downloaded on the device. The AI transcription of audio is supposedly much more powerful now, with multi-speaker recognition and new supported languages. You also get a couple of new image editing tools, such as AI Magic Fill and AI Unblur, and they do just what their names suggest. And just like for its other recent phones, Asus promises at least 2 major software updates and 5 years of security patches. Now let's talk about the chipset. It's Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite, their flagship chip for 2025. This is actually the main upgrade you'll find on the Zenfone 12 Ultra compared to last year's model. As expected, in benchmarks there's a clear improvement in the numbers, and the Zenfone 12 Ultra does an excellent job. It sits alongside other current flagships at the top of the charts. Outside of someone that needs this extra power for heavy gaming, you might not notice the difference in speed compared to last year. But with that said, the phone feels perfectly fast and snappy with no slowdowns. Plus, the thermal management here is great. In performance mode, the Zenfone 12 Ultra completed our prolonged stress test with very little thermal throttling. And in the default dynamic mode, the result is still decent for a flagship. The Zenfone 12 Ultra's battery capacity hasn't changed. It's again 5500 mAh. The battery life is different though because of the different chipset. The phone earned an active use score of 15 hours and 50 minutes in our tests, which is excellent and among the best in the segment. The phone again supports 65-watt charging, and there's no charger in the box. With the ROG 65-watt adapter, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 77% in half an hour, and a full charge took 45 minutes, about the same as the previous model. There's also support for wireless charging here. And now we have the cameras. The Zenfone 12 Ultra has a 50-megapixel main cam with gimbal OIS, a 32-megapixel 3x telephoto cam, and a 13-megapixel ultra-wide camera. It's the same setup as last year, except that on the main cam there's improved gimbal stabilization, which they call 6-axis hybrid gimbal stabilizer 4.0. It should be 66% smoother than last year. The main camera captures stills at 12.5 megapixels due to pixel binning. These photos are solid, but not amazing. Detail is good, but it could be way better. It's certainly better than a mid-ranger, but not quite at flagship camera phone level. Dynamic range isn't too wide either, and you can run into dark shadows and clipped highlights. Colors are nice and natural overall, and shots of people look decent enough, including those taken in portrait mode. But they're rarely tack sharp, no matter which camera is taking them. The main camera uses automatic night mode processing in the dark. It has pretty decent low-light performance, but it's not flagship camera phone grade. The contrast and colors look good. There's plenty of detail in the frame, but also plenty of noise. Shadows are not very well developed, and light sources are sometimes blown out. You can toggle on a dedicated night mode which fixes up the highlights and noise nicely, but it's at the expense of sharpness, and each night mode photo takes up to 7 seconds to shoot. The 32-megapixel telephoto camera produces 3x zoom shots at 8 megapixels due to pixel binning, and the shots look good. They have a gritty look with high micro contrast, which is something we quite like, even if it comes at the expense of a more limited dynamic range. However, zooming in reveals that these photos are not very sharp. The telephoto cam captures relatively clean low-light photos, and they look really good. There's lots of detail, shadows and highlights are well exposed, and the contrast is nice. Colors look good, but they're not that well matched to the main camera. And now the ultra-wide camera. It isn't impressive, but it does a decent enough job. The level of detail is okay for an ultra-wide, but we feel the dynamic range could be better. These colors are a bit more saturated than on the main camera, but not a bad match overall. The ultra-wide cam does a really nice job in low light for this sort of camera. The level of detail is very good for an ultra-wide, and the dynamic range is commendable here. The 8-megapixel selfies from the Zenfone 12 Ultra look decent. If you shoot with your arm not fully extended, the facial features come through well defined. Skin tones are nice too. Once your arm is fully extended, at this focus distance, sharpness worsens, and the face can appear even slightly out of focus. On the bright side, this can hide some skin imperfections. The Zenfone 12 Ultra can capture video in up to 8K resolution with the main cam, and the ultra-wide can record in 4K. The telephoto and selfie cameras are limited to 1080p. There are some neat features for video recording, including AI tracking. That's handy if you want to take videos of yourself performing or otherwise moving around. AI portrait videos with a blurred background are back as well. Asus claims that they've been improved this time around. And the Zenfone 12 Ultra is able to do real-time background noise removal for your video recording as well. The main camera captures pretty good 4K videos. Detail is great, and even though colors are a bit oversaturated, they look quite nice. Contrast is good as well, and the same goes for dynamic range. Here's a look at the 1080p zoomed video. Detail is decent given the resolution, and colors appear mostly well matched to the main camera. The ultra-wide camera has a good amount of detail in its 4K videos. And just like the main cam, colors are more on the saturated side. The main camera's 6-axis gimbal setup works together with the electronic stabilization to produce some really smooth footage. It's not only walking, it can also effectively iron out camera shake when running too. But unless you have the habit of chasing people while video recording, the feature has limited usability. And here's a look at low-light video from the main cam. The video is very good quality, and the detail and colors are on point. So there you have it folks, the Asus Zenfone 12 Ultra. It's a solid flagship overall. However, when compared to last year's Zenfone 11 Ultra, not a ton has changed besides the new chipset, improved gimbal stabilization, and additional AI features. Okay, maybe Asus is trying to focus more on software, a tactic we've also seen from other manufacturers. But then why not promise longer software support? In the end, while the Zenfone 12 Ultra is a good high-end phone, there's not enough innovation here to make it worth recommending over the older one, especially since the new one is launching for $100 more. Thanks for watching guys. Here's a link to our Zenfone 11 Ultra review if you'd like to check that out. And another alternative is the OnePlus 13. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.